This episode is brought to you by Gainesville Podcast Studio and Dynasty Solutions, a video production and live streaming company.
Welcome to another Moment with Common Hood. I'm your host, Simon P. And today I have Mr. Willie Rodgers. Willie Rodgers is someone I met in we not gonna say it, but he came from Carroll City, Miami, Florida, with a scholarship to play full football at the University of Florida. He's one of the members of the first 1996 championship team, national championship team at that time with Steve Spurrier. But I've seen this man transition from the life of sports, and I thought that if there had to be a role model for kids to look at, I know everybody want to be Emmitt Smith, Deion Sanders, and all that. But I, for one, have some admiration for some of those fellas I saw in that 1996 team that I'm going to give a shout-out to my brother Mike Harris and my local Tyrone Baker and Terry Jackson and them. They were on that team as well. But Willie taking a good time out of his schedule today to give us some time. And hopefully any person out there that's a child that's looking for a career path, looking for an opportunity, let this be a standard with Mr. Willie Rodgers from Carroll City of Miami, Florida.
That's right. The bottom, 305.
The bottom,
That's
the
what they call
305.
it. Yes, sir.
But since you came from the 305,
Yes.
and you in the 352, what lured you to the 352?
Oh, that's an easy one.
I know the University of Florida is one, but what made you stay?
Absolutely. So that's a great question, and I've asked myself that question years ago, post football, and I was like, how did I end up in Gainesville? And when I go back, I was really proud of myself and surprised at how aware and thoughtful I was as an 18-year-old. During that time, I was a highly recruited football player, high school football player, and I was able to go to Florida State, Penn State, Nebraska.
You had some choices.
Yes, I had a lot of choices, and Coach Spurrier came to my school. Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno wrote a handwritten letter, which my dad was very proud of. He's no longer with us, but the reason why I chose University of Florida after taking 5 visiting trips to colleges was the fact that, one, it wasn't Miami. Sonny Lubick and the Miami Hurricanes wanted me really bad. They told me I would play right away. University of Florida told me I would probably redshirt when I got here. But when I came to Gainesville on the visit, they had Coach Red Anderson. He was always really good at recruiting the guys from Miami, and he had a very personal interest in us guys. And the thing that I noticed that really separated University of Florida and Gainesville from Miami, University of Miami, was the fact that there was a lot of emphasis on building the total player, the student athlete, not just the athlete. While I was here on my trip, the Academic Advisement Center, the counseling resources, I saw that there was a very diverse opportunity here for me to where I could come and really develop and really create a different lifestyle for me going forward. And that was really
more of a holistic approach to total you.
Absolutely.
Just in case there's, football is highly contagious with injuries.
Absolutely. And the one thing I was never oblivious to is that that saying, they say that, of all the college athletes, 90% of us at least are going to go professional in something else. I always knew that coming out of high school.
Never heard it put like that.
My mom always kept me very sober. That, they say have a plan B. It's not about plan B. It's really improving the probability of success.
Right.
And you never put all your eggs in one basket because that's just not the way life works. You have to be ready to pivot and move. And I had really excellent parents, a lot of good role models and mentors from the time I was in elementary school through high school, all the way through college and currently. So Gainesville was a great college town with a lot of focus around the student athlete. That's what's the difference for me.
Right. Focusing between the tools, between the ears was very important for you. And you saw that at 18.
Yes.
Thanks to great parenting as well. I heard you mention that. But let's get into it. I got you here today because I've always admired your career choice that you've been in. Yes. I've seen how you've pivoted each time and taken on life blows and bounced back real hard. And I love your motivational speeches when you say it's all in the mind.
That's right.
Nobody
That's right.
can control the mind, and I love those sauna talks.
That's right.
When we have those opportunities to hear you talk, man, and it's like, wow. When I hear that, I often wonder. I heard my brother Mike one time mention that one of the things he liked when he played is you talking to millionaire coaches. So coming from a city like, Carroll City in Miami, and of course we were born and raised in Gainesville, so we can sit out east in the Duval community, and it's pretty much similar communities a little bit that both of you guys are from. And he said it was just the management style of coaching, seeing how millionaires do things and see how much things are done in a run of a day. And he's like, I was an old veteran head. He went to the military at one point, and he's like, we do just as much as a student athlete that he felt that the average person does in a typical day. And he said he picked up those skills, which really helped him a lot. So how did that apply in your situation before we get into your career?
That is exactly the focus. When Urban Meyer was the coach here, he used to have a program where he would bring back old players, and during the spring when they had practices, and he had a session what he called Real Tuesdays.
Real Tuesdays?
Yes, and that Real Tuesday involved, they would have a guest speaker, someone like myself. I was one of the guest speakers, where we would talk about our different professions and careers and what we learned from our time as a football player, and then they would learn resume writing and interviewing skills. And one of the things that I said was, while you're at the university, you have an opportunity to be around some of the more successful people in the world. They show you an example of how to manage your time throughout the day, where your 8 hours that you're awake, you learn how to really maximize that production.
Making things more efficient.
Absolutely. People like Jeremy Foley, Steve Spurrier, Urban Meyer, some of our administrators, some of the provosts, the professors, some of the more very high-end successful people where their time is really in demand, but they somehow managed to balance their career and their family, as well as some taking care of their person. And we had an opportunity. Our weeks consisted of Monday through Saturday, between practice, classroom studies, our personal lives. I had a family at that time.
I remember that.
I had a kid. Yeah,
I remember that. That's why I say you was married in college. I was like,
absolutely.
He has did his thing. Yes.
I mean, you get up at 5 a.m. You do a workout. Then you go to 7:15 first period class on some days, and then you go through class.
What time you say that workout start?
5:30.
5:30.
Yes.
A.M.
A.M. Yes. 5:30 a.m. There was a run that we would do, the 3.8 mile. Everyone hated that run.
Right.
And that we would do that during the off season. We'll do it maybe once a week or something like that. It wasn't a ton of reps doing that because we weren't runners, but that 3.8 was really a test of your mental toughness, along with some of your athletic conditioning. And we would be out there early in the morning with ROTC, would be the only people on campus with us. We'd go run, and then you're dead, and then you have about 30, 40 minutes to get, recovered, showered, and dressed, and go to class.
And that's an all-day affair.
Absolutely. You go to class all day. You have to pay attention. You have to be focused. You have to take tests. And then after class, you go to your meetings, then practice, and then study hall, and then dinner, and then your family. So
all of that
6 days a week
for the smoke to just run through the swamp.
That's right.
And give the fans what they want to see, a good finished product.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of respect.
That's right.
For a college athlete that sometimes get oversighted.
Well, it's not for the fan to recognize that. It's for the player to recognize that.
For the players to recognize
that. And like I used to tell the guys when I used to talk to them when Urban was here, I said, when the lights are out and the crowd is silent, now what?
Now what?
Because when you run out of the tunnel and into that stadium for the game, that's for the fans, that's for the university, that's not for you individually.
That's not for you. Yeah.
What's for you is the process and the journey and all the work you're doing behind the scenes, and then that's like the icing on the cake.
Everything has a process.
That's right. Absolutely.
Everything has a process. So on your career choice, we noticed you are a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Yes.
What motivated you to make that transition when you left college to say I'm going to go that route? How did you land that first job? How did you get into that career?
Very interesting. I've always been a very ambitious person, and I've always been someone that admired businessmen. And while I was in college, I would go to different seminars, learn people, different CEOs and business owners and business leaders, and I would listen to their
All this
talks.
is on the campus.
This is on campus, free of charge, provided by the university. That's the stuff that athletes
that we
must
don't get
take
to hear
advantage
about.
of.
Yes,
in order to get your full worth out of that experience. Not just running out of the tunnel. So, but during my time there, I met the first black farm, or the largest black farm owner, called McDonald's Farm. They're based out of Pennsylvania, and I saw.
Did you say black farm owner?
That's right. It's called McDonald's Farm out of Pennsylvania. No, you don't hear about it ever. But being in that university environment where you have exposure and access to so many different types of people and careers and industries, I was able to go and sit and talk with them. And so throughout my career, I was always interested in becoming a business person.
Like a kid in the candy shop. That's just their experience is like coming from Carroll City.
From Miami.
Coming from Miami.
Where you have
inner city.
Blue collar workers.
Yes.
Hardworking dad was a truck driver. My next door neighbor was a truck driver. We had mechanics. We had dental hygienists. We had hardworking blue collar people. And coming to the university gave me access to a lot of white collar workers and a different perspective in how people were out here making a difference and taking a different career. My uncle, who was also, he retired as chief information officer of Kroger Grocer. He was also another person that I really looked up to and wanted to model.
Right, so chief operating officer. The Kroger, that's the big food chain.
Absolutely.
Correct, yes. I know here Publix pretty much, but going to Atlanta, some other major cities,
based out of Cincinnati.
Yes.
He was tremendously successful. And so I always had an interest in being a business guy. While I was in college, I studied hospitality management. That's where I was really going into. And I thought I would have a career in hospitality management.
Right.
And so after football was over, after college, I had a chance. I was an undrafted free agent to the Buffalo Bills. I was up there for half a season, and then I actually went and played in NFL Europe in that spring of 1999. And after I did that spring, I didn't really have any opportunities post that for the NFL. I didn't want to chase the dream anymore, so I got to work. Long story short, my first job, I was a front desk manager at the Sawgrass Marriott.
Sawgrass, man, that's a high end. That's a high end one.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a high end one.
I started off with a $30 million budget that I was managing. I mean, I learned a lot from that job, interacting with clients, people like Tiger Woods and Mickey Rooney and Eddie George and Ahmad Rashad, all the rich and famous people. They all came through, and that's gave me exposure.
Yeah, I wouldn't have seen them at Fairmont.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen them at Fairmont Marriott.
So
different levels.
Absolutely. And so, and that was the opening to my exposure to other different careers. Because that was such a fancy hotel, it had 800 rooms, and it had thousands of square feet of meeting space.
Right.
Many major corporations would come and do meetings in my hotel. I would be, as a manager, I would have to meet, and we would put together contracts, and we would meet with these people. So I was learning about Golf Magazine, Caterpillar, and then I also learned about the pharmaceutical companies. J&J or Johnson & Johnson. They used to come and host their managers meeting at my hotel. I met a guy who was friends with Lanny Graham, and
Lanny Graham from Gainesville. Duval,
right.
God bless his soul.
Yes, he was a great guy.
Yes.
And
he grew up right behind me and my brother Mike, Derek, and Brian.
Yeah,
he grew up right behind us.
Wow, yeah, he had a great career, man. He was a good guy, tough guy. So they would come into our hotel for management meetings, and when they would check in, of course, I ran the entire front area, so I would have to do a lot of managing the rooms and openings for different issues if there was an issue come up. So I was constantly interacting with their leadership, and he told me about pharmaceutical sales. I didn't know anything about
Know
it.
anything
I had
about
never
it.
heard of it. And he was like, man, he said, hey, this is the best thing since
You was
football.
about 23.
Yeah, yep,
at the
23
time?
years old.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was like, man, pharmaceutical sales is the best thing. They would come through, they have their company cards, and they would dress nice, have nice dinners, and they would do a lot of meetings. And I was like, man, that's what I want to do. And he said, yeah, man. He said, you can make a lot of, really good money, football player money. And I was like, wow, okay. So I was like, how do I get in that? And that's where it gets difficult.
It's football player money for back then.
Yes.
Football player money
Yes.
has changed a little bit since then.
Yes. And what he means, it's not going to be Tom Brady football player money, but if you're a guy that's out there trying to make a squad, you're gonna make six figures all day, $500,000.
That's what I wanted to be said.
All day. You're not gonna make $100 million or $50 million. Well, if you become CEO or if you buy companies, there's many different scenarios in pharmaceutical sales where you can do many different things. There are reps that have made $1 million in a year. So, so he told me about it, but that's where it gets complicated. How do I get my opportunity to get into pharmaceuticals? So that's when I started the chase. It took me 3 years to get there. 3 years. Yes.
The pursuit was 3 years. 3 years. And that's on top of you working.
That's right.
Family.
That's right.
That's that perseverance right there.
Absolutely. So
whenever I see you in the gym, that's how you go. You go hard.
That's right. Well, because and this is sideways.
I don't go to the gym as
mental
much,
toughness. Mental discipline and mental toughness is it crosses all boundaries.
All boundaries.
It's transferable. It's a transferable behavior, skill set that you can take in all aspects of your life. Whether you want to be a great husband, great father, great student, great athlete, great employee, that's the common denominator that's going to take for everyone. That's right. And so if you have that, you can do anything. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, or you can do whatever you want. But that's where the rubber meets the road is mental toughness. So if you're at the top of your game in whatever profession or industry or area of life, you're going to be the best at it. And that's
great nuggets. Great nuggets.
Absolutely.
When you land your job, and if you've had it for a little while now, can you just describe what's a typical day look like for a pharmaceutical rep? Because honestly, I never heard of it till you and Lanny was saying, it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. I never heard of it. I'm the pharmaceutical rep I knew was what was going on with off drugs that's not through the CVS. So when you guys got in that, so I'm like, what do you see? How does a typical day goes? Because the normal person doesn't see the action of a pharmaceutical rep.
That's right.
So how did your day flow?
So pharmaceutical rep, the profession is pharmaceutical sales, right?
Sales,
so
okay.
Your job is to generate revenue and sell whatever product. And in pharmaceutical sales or medical sales, there are many different areas. You have devices, medicine, you have specialty medications, biologics, you have durable medical equipment. So there's a whole
broad range.
That's right, of different services and therapies that you can offer. Now, that being said, it's sales.
Right.
And with sales, you're basically an entrepreneur versus an entrepreneur, where you have your own book of business. You don't have any overhead costs. That's because you don't own the company, but you're responsible for taking that territory, that book of business, and growing it and managing it for that and making it profitable for the company. So basically, you're an entrepreneur. So during your day, your whole day is geared around hitting your goals, whether it's to maintain or grow your business. That instead, there are two parts of that. You have your administrative activities, and then you have your sales activities. The administrative part of the job is what you do on a day-to-day, where you wake up, you have internal customers to satisfy, you have your boss, you have manufacturing, you have HR, so you may have some compliance to do, some courses to update on, you have to answer your emails, you may have reports to submit to your boss. for your book of business. And then you have the sales activity where you're interfacing with the customers, and then you're going to have the goals around your interaction. So if I have a client that's already doing business with me, I may want to interface with them and handle any challenges they have, whether they have new employees, new doctors, nurses that need to be educated and trained, and I'll in-service them, or if they have some billing issues. So I'll visit several of them during the day, and I may have meetings to address some of those issues. And then the second part of the sales activity is how I'm gonna grow my book of business. So am I gonna expand what I currently have?
And this is an everyday fine tuning.
That's right.
How much of your hospitality experience carried over to your sales part?
A tremendous amount.
You mind elaborating on that a little bit?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So it wasn't directly I wasn't able to go from hospitality management into sales because those are two different jobs. But there are portions. Everything you do in life, there's something you can take from that experience and carry with you to the next experience. And what I learned in hospitality management that was very valuable in pharmaceutical sales is, one, interacting with the clients and dealing with professionals, and really doing contracts and negotiating with them. When a company comes in, I'm dealing with AT&T and Georgia Pacific and Golf Magazine and Tiger, the PGA. We put on the Sawgrass tournament in March, and so I was used to dealing with business professionals, so I knew how to talk. I knew the etiquette and how to proceed, and then book account management. I had to manage the numbers, count for my numbers, and every day having a structured way that I do business.
A structured way. And this is set up by you, or you get they give you a little initial example for you to follow. So when they plug you into that entrepreneur position.
So it depends. Some companies may be what they call startup, where you may be coming into a territory with no business, and they give you a geography. So I'll have Gainesville. They'll say, "Hey, Willie, we want you to bring this new product into Gainesville." And so they'll provide you all the databases you need to be able to pull data as far as hospitals and doctors' offices and clinicians, and you'll be able to see that. And then you will design a plan using that data on who you're going to target, where you're going to go, what your messaging is going to be. And then, but if you get with an established company, like I started off with J&J, a huge corporation with over 100,000 employees, they have processes already in place. They're going to hand you a book of business, and you're going to, one, have to maintain that book of business, and then two, expand and grow. And then as they change their strategies and implement new products and services, you're going to be responsible for bringing that in.
You have to change that as well.
Absolutely.
So you already mentioned, leading to my next question, if I had to ask you what skills and qualities you should have to be a pharmaceutical salesperson, you've kind of already hit on some of those things. You hit the discipline. You've hit the focus. It seems like the organization.
Yes.
You've hit the client relationship. Is there any other nuggets that you would recommend for anyone that's possibly graduated from college or saying, hey, I might need to look into this myself? What are the some powerful traits that they probably can use on top of what you've already shared?
Well, what I will do is, other than just the traits, I will talk about a path there, because that's the challenge. And I didn't know about pharmaceutical sales when I was in college, and many people don't. So you don't do anything to try and prepare to get there. And we know that once college is over,
it's over.
You have your degree. The big challenge is experience. Everyone wants experience.
Yes.
So how do you have experience while you were in college if you didn't prepare for that? So there are internships at some schools, but not many as far as pharmaceutical sales. University of Florida never had one, but that could have changed. When I was a rep and I was at J&J, and we were doing recruiting events at FAMU. FAMU back then had a pharmaceutical rep internship, which I was shocked. I was like, no way. During the summer, the companies would pay for them to have an apartment, give them a territory, a car, and an allowance for the summer.
They have a strong they call it SBI.
Yes.
School Business Institute. And find my daughter was able to go there, and I think they did a decent job for us planning them to get a good corporate job.
So absolutely, they do the best.
Yeah,
when we were
they
there,
do the best. Yeah,
when we were there, they said while we were in, the students were coming through. They said if you have a candidate that looks strong, start their resume, and we're going to interview them on the spot. When I did a similar career fair at University of Florida, that was not the case.
That wasn't the case.
We were just kind of giving out information. So I would say while you're in college, for the person that's in college and learning about pharmaceutical sales as a career, which is more aware, people have greater awareness around it nowadays than when I was in college. It's during your summer, when you're doing a summer job, get a sales job. Customer service job, something where you can start to practice and how to build those skills, because those sales skills are going to be absolutely crucial.
They always say, when you listen to the very rich guys, they say, what is one skill that you should embrace? They'll say, learn to sell something.
That's right.
And then they'll say, learn to raise capital.
That's right. Absolutely.
And build relationships. It's never the technical stuff that you think.
That's right.
That I got to be the accountant. I got to know the finance. I mean, those individuals seem to just be fill-ins.
That's right.
To support that sales genius, that sales genie in a bottle.
That's operations, because think about it, when you have a business, you have sales and you have operations. Those are the two departments.
Yes.
And everybody fits in one of those places. And you have to have a service or product or something to sell.
Correct.
So there has to be a creation. You have to have the creator. And then once you have that service or product that you want to bring to market, now you have to sell it before you have anybody any need to manage it,
right,
or operate it,
right.
So you have to generate the revenue in order for the operators to have something to do,
right.
So get the skills, sales skills, work summer jobs when you can. Anything selling, copy or sales are good to get into.
It's kind of off topic.
Yeah.
When you mention all the different ways you can be in pharmaceutical sales, from not only the medications you mentioned, the devices and different things like that, and the experience of a doctor is like they're busy.
That's right. That's right.
So when I say they're busy, it's just like, well, how do you guys have time to build a relationship with the doctors? Is that after hours, or they have their particular times?
It's a combination.
So associations you attend with them.
That's right. Everything's about value and building value. So every clinician and client that you're going to deal with in any industry, they're going to have a million things on their plate. And you're coming in with one part of the many things that they have to deal with. And so as a sales professional, you have to really understand the value that you bring. And you have to be able to quickly relay that to them. That's how you get their attention and help.
That's another one of those qualities.
Yeah, that's right. That's sales skills. That's the skill part.
That's the skill part.
Where you practice.
Finding that value in what you have and being able to articulate that to the consumer to say, hey, you need this.
That's right. And that's where the sales skill come in. So sometimes you're gonna get, if you are building enough value, they're gonna make time for you.
This is gonna take me back to a moment we had.
Okay.
We were at the gym, I believe, at the sauna.
Yeah.
And there was a doctor.
Yep.
I don't know if you can remember this.
Yep.
And I'm hearing the doctor explain his point of view, but after listening to you explain, I was like, wow, doc, what can you say?
Yes.
It's not that you guys were trying to have a competition, but I really saw you separate the value that you made that doctor see the value of what you were doing. And I think later on he was like, he was a high school friend of mine. He was like, where did you know this guy? And I'm like, well, first of all, that's Willie Rodgers that played football with the Gators. Yeah. And that's his position. And don't take it personally.
Yeah.
He knows you can't remember all the medications, but since you pulled one up, he let you know that this is what I do, man. This is what I do.
Yes.
And I never forget that moment. I was like, wow.
Yes. I mean,
I had never seen that. Like it was live.
yes.
Like I forgot that there was people in the room lifting weights,
Yeah.
working out, riding bicycles, and all of that
Yes.
good stuff. You
Yes.
guys had got in a very deep conversation.
Yes.
That you can just see the intellect just bouncing off.
Yes.
But I'm like, you sounded like a doctor as well, not
Yeah.
just a sales rep.
Absolutely.
You sounded like a freaking doctor out there a little bit.
Sales rep. The sales is the skill part of it, and then part of that sales skill is being the expert in your area.
In your area.
Yeah. So while that doctor will know more about the patient overall than I do, in my area that I'm bringing to them, I should know as much or more than they do, because that's the only way I can bring any value.
That's the only way.
Why would they take time to listen to me if I'm not going to tell them anything that they need, that they aren't getting from somewhere else?
Right.
So as a salesperson, you have to understand your value, and you have to be able to translate that and relay that over and over again, very quickly and efficiently, in a way that makes sense. And it's not. And if you think back, everyone needs that.
Well, I can remember that
That's
conversation, man. So
Yes.
good, so good.
Yeah.
It's like I say, there's a couple of times that we've spoken just out and about.
Yeah.
That it's like that young man now
Yeah.
really has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And every now and then when I see him, it's amazing. He still asks.
Yeah.
You still friends with that guy?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I see him in the gym.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
got to
yeah,
come back.
yeah.
Y'all just missing each other right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure he might come to your door one day if
Yes.
y'all requesting what's in his product line.
That's right. You have to tell me which line is he. What line is he in?
Well, he was a physician, but I don't know what
type-
what
what area
what type of.
therapy?
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he was just a rather general doctor or not. But from that day, I would just think he was a general doctor, and I didn't think he really specialized. Yes, I think he's more. I think he might have been family, so I don't think he. The way you
almost surgeons and stuff.
Right. Some of the challenges that you see as a pharmaceutical rep, and this is going back from your experience and the changes you've seen, because I know in these days you have what they call AI coming out now, and everybody's like, ooh.
Yeah.
But I'm listening to you saying that value. I'm like, that damn robot only know what you tell it to do.
Yes.
But that don't mean he's going to be able to provide all those things that you just gave live.
Yes.
And how you articulated the value. I know AI, you can put in Chat GPT, this particular drug will do this, and it'll spit out what it can. But hell, nobody's reading past the first line. The doctors don't have time.
That's right.
It's like you have to make it live.
Yeah.
But what's some challenges that you've seen?
So it's not AI. Sales is a career path that's recession proof.
Recession proof.
That's right, because there's always something going to be needed in sales. So that's why it's really important to develop sales skill. And you notice I'm saying sales skill, not pharmaceutical, but sales skills. Because something's always going to need to be pushed and promoted. So if you have good sales skills, you're good. Now,
is sales skills, is it more towards pillar to the emotion?
No, it's a combination of being able to learn quickly, product knowledge, ask great questions to get your clients to see the bigger picture. Because most people are really narrowly focused.
Right.
And you have to be able to get them to expand their thought with your questioning, and then understanding from their answers what they want and being able to show it to them in a very effective and understandable, very easily understandable way.
I'm glad you're giving a little capsule.
Yes.
Of what it takes, because it is a true skill. It's a true. It takes work.
That's right.
Some get it just by keep failing.
Yeah.
And some get it by paying attention to those that are successful.
That's right.
And some get it by reading the books and just repetitive.
Absolutely.
So when that day of dancing comes, they're able to do what they think.
So you asked me the challenge. AI is not the issue. The challenge is that healthcare landscape keeps changing so rapidly. Really? So one drug that you carry or therapy that you carry may be covered by insurance one quarter. The next quarter it may not be.
Those are the major hurdles.
Absolutely.
Is Is it the government? Is it the government policies, or is it more so the insurance and the government policies together? It's a combination of all. It's a combination. Yes, and any other things that besides the insurance industry?
Yeah, investors. So if your product, if
did you say investor?
Investors. So our business is a for-profit deal. So everything you do, there's Wall Street backers. There are people that are investing in capital, and your company's goal is if they're public, they have to be profitable so that they can maintain their investors. If you lose profitability, you lose investors. So if policy changes, if a hospital stops carrying your product or your service and it takes a major hit, if there's a warning label, a risk or an adverse event that makes it the less than ideal.
You talking about when the commercials be on television saying if you took this particular drug,
yes, side effects, yes,
it has a side effect, yes, and they're giving this 1-800 number for you to call. That affect not only the company,
yes,
but those investors.
So, absolutely,
right.
If it's a one that's really detrimental to your product and it's not very safe, then you're going to have a problem. That can affect you. So keeping your clients aware of the changing landscape as far as reimbursement, that's a challenge. One, getting access because everyone's consolidating. There aren't as many standalone clinicians. They all are under some
big umbrella. Yeah, like here in Gainesville, it just seems like it's either University of Florida Health.
Yep.
And North Florida and everything else kind of
absolutely
pigeon off those three.
That's right.
That's kind of directed to those. You don't see the independence. Do you think that's hurting the overall health quality industry by doing that? The quality
it's hurting every industry. It's hurting our quality of life. So it's just a part of it. Absolutely, it is. But that gives you more motivation and more value as a rep is when you see. If you have a product that you believe in that can really help patients, you're going to work really hard to make sure that as many patients as possible have access to this, your product or service, your therapy.
You know, what do you say when people say, medicine, there's a negative perception when it comes to pharmaceutical drugs. There's overall a negative perception.
Rightfully so.
And I know the one is just, why does fucking pill cost so much?
That's right. Absolutely.
And I wonder, like, what all cost is associated with that each pill that goes into that bottle?
Yeah.
Because just like you say, these pills are sold, but somebody had to put the money up.
That's right. Absolutely.
To get the scientists to go into the lab.
That's right.
And find a way to make it approved where this person, even though it says side effects, but for the most part, I heard a doctor say it's real simple. I have to tell you the truth.
That's right.
But they're very minor side effects.
Yeah.
But however, I've heard them also say that I'm a doc.
That's right.
At the end of the day, do you want to fix this shit that you got going on?
Absolutely. and I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yes.
And I've seen it transition from where doctors they are able to take a therapy and go outside of the scope of what the FDA has approved.
Right.
Because they are able to practice medicine.
Right.
I can't promote it. Our company can't promote it outside anything other than what we have an indication for.
Right.
Back when I first started in 2002, man, that's a long time ago. Doctors would challenge.
Just come back and say maybe you started in 2014. Don't give away.
Yeah, no, man,
even though you look 30 over there.
I'm good. Hey, I like being the old guy. I absolutely relish it because I don't have to. It's like it's fun being the older and wiser guy. But I remember a time when doctors would fight for a particular drug or therapy that they thought was worth it that may not have been on their hospital's formulary or covered by insurance.
Right.
They would fight for it. And I saw that diminish to a point where you might have 1 out of 100 docs that fight for something that's not formulary because they're all employed by the hospital or one of these management groups. And so it's really changed a lot.
With your experience, the holistic doctors that says we believe in medication, but we're trying to be as preventive as possible. how much do you guys get to work with those type of doctors that are kind of holistic? Is it very rare?
Yeah, we don't do anything with them.
They don't do anything.
We don't work with them at all.
They don't even request.
Nah, we don't work with them at all.
Because it just a curiosity of me. And now going back to your positioning that you said on your role of the day, and I'm listening to you saying, "Damn, you gotta build relationships, you got reports to do for the company, you got a lot of stuff going on today," and I'm wondering, how the hell do you have time to stay up and current with all the medical pills coming out? Yep. And keeping the pharmaceutical knowledge? Like, what kind of methods you using to continue to keep yourself educated about these many different changes?
Great question. And talking about maintaining value and bringing value, having your skills update is very important. One, your company's going to have a good program in place. If it's a decent company and they want to do right, they want to make sure their reps are equipped and knowledgeable and going out there and sharing the right messaging around what they're doing. And then number two, that's the company.
That's on the company.
And then now you as a sales professional, I'm always doing sales courses. I'm always going on and learning about different drugs and things, health situations that may be going on at the time. There's one site called PubMed. They have a lot of publications that are published on any different type of disease state and
it talks about the disease, or it does talk about the disease and the medicines that helps normally treat that disease, and you're able to go. You mind repeating that again? What it's called? PubMed. PubMed.
That's right.
I need to remember that. Pub. Is that access to the general public? Or?
Yes, you can go on the PubMed and you can access studies and journals, things that are the profession. That's where all the professionals go and get their. All the doctors go and get their information on the latest and greatest studies and data on different types of treatments. And
so you were around when the COVID came.
Yes, that's right.
We have to go there.
Yes.
How chaotic was that, man?
It was crazy. I got laid off from the position I was in. I was with a diagnostics company called what was the name of that company? Not Vicor, but Baco Diagnostics.
Diagnostics.
We focused on diagnostics around for podiatry in the lower extremity. And it was a great company, and we were doing well. But then COVID hit. I remember they tried to keep us. At first they took away. They reduced our salary 30%. I think it was to kind of keep people on board, which was cool. All right, we're gonna get through this. And then they
I don't know who didn't reduce something.
They furloughed a few people, and then they said that was it.
That was it.
And that was before this was leading up to the major close. And then when they closed everything, they had to come back and hit us hard. And they laid off pretty much 80% of us. And I got the call from my HR person, which I wasn't hurt at all. And she was crying. She was feeling sorry. I was like, well, it's part of the industry. I'm a sales guy. I get paid on generating revenue. And if I can't generate revenue, then what am I?
Well, you can't generate when you can't go out and see
absolutely.
No one.
So I'm not upset. It's just a part of it. I make a ton of money when I'm working. And if something comes up and I can't, then that's back to the mental toughness component. That was a tough time. For a lot of people, not everybody, but for probably the majority of us. And that was the time when I got laid off. Yes.
Well, I don't know how we get through this world without that experience. Yes. Everybody have it at some point.
Yeah, in our industry, you eventually get laid off. I've gone through.
They call it a comeback.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a
they
part
call it a comeback. We all have it, man.
Yeah.
It's tight when you go through it, though.
Yeah, I mean,
at least in my experiences. But you have to have that right perspective, attitude, and change.
The cool thing is that you, as a sales rep, you should make enough money to where you should be good.
You should be good when at that call comes. That's the cool thing about it.
Yeah.
So obviously, when I asked you, what do you enjoy about the job? I think you just mentioned it.
Yeah.
That the potential to earn great money.
Number one,
is there.
I'll tell you. Number one, what I enjoy about the job is the autonomy. Because I like to compete and I like to get out and I like to earn my keep. So if you go into a job where they say, hey, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, and we're going to give you this, and that's to me that eventually that becomes very boring.
Right.
Forget the fact that you're paid just a certain amount of money, you can't go up or down. Because you can get promoted, become CEO, and make good money, but there's no challenge there for me. It's just
Well, I'm listening at it, and I'm looking at ex-football star in high school and college. Yep. And let's just be real, you don't get to University of Florida.
That's right.
Or some of the bigger D1 college without competing.
That's right.
Without wanting to say, I know I'm better than you.
Yes.
And a lot of guys on there say, hey, I know this guy. He just probably didn't study the playbook, and I got an edge on him. Yeah. But he's still running a 4.344 as well.
Yeah.
So that competitive nature from football, just as the hospitality industry, help with your client relationship and the pharmaceutical sales. That competition that's innately in.
That's right.
You got a chance to bring that back into your circle of life. Like, hey, here's my book of business, and I
get to win, and it's not in an arrogant way, because I don't really care to beat anyone. I really it's just about the opportunity to be my best. And if I go into a job, which you can be your best there as well, but if you want to do more and just continue to grow and go. Some people like safety and steadiness, and that's okay.
Well, that's that. I know you say entrepreneur and entrepreneur.
That's right.
So I've had a chance to work the job. I've had a chance to work self-employment. And self-employment, you do have to have a new wiggle inside you. You do have to manage things a little bit better.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna have to have some type of level of competition.
That's right.
Like they call it the 30-day grind, and I'd be like, for those that are out there past those 30 days, those 60 days that's in that grind, I fully do get it. So the only autonomy that you mentioned is that because when you go out in the field, you're kind of
I get to make it work. My company says, "Hey, Willie, bring this home."
Got it.
And I get to decide how that's done.
Kind of
within
like
the parameters that they set.
Yes. Right.
Because I'm not an entrepreneur. You get to set the parameters. You have everything. But because it's not my business, they say within these parameters, deliver this result.
Bring it home. It's like a nomadic lifestyle.
That's right.
We have already ate for the day.
That's right.
We need another kill.
That's right. Absolutely.
And the hunters have to go back and say, at no cost,
absolutely, I
must bring this buffalo home.
That's right. And the satisfaction in that. So one of the things with football players, they talk about CTE and how it contributes to some of the bad choices that former athletes make. I don't even really believe in CTE, to be honest.
Talking about
the condition itself and how much it really affects.
I don't know, man. I think the last football game I saw. That's another issue.
I think part of the
but you played defense, so you delivered the blow.
But I think part of the reason why athletes can go sideways post career is because you don't have that competition anymore. You don't have that. Because you've been spending your entire life learning to operate at a real high level. And now all of a sudden you have nothing to shoot for.
Right.
You get a sales, you be an entrepreneur, you have an opportunity to be in that same mindset, in that same environment, and it's fulfilling.
And when the question was, what are the one of the things you ask? That's what you do hear a lot from most athletes. Yeah. They definitely love the game, but they always say, I miss the competition.
That's right.
I miss the competition on that day.
Yeah. And you don't have to, because life is a big game. It's one competitive situation, and the number
competitive situation, one after another.
Like you talk about competing, I don't really compete with anyone. To be completely honest, I don't compete with anyone. I only compete with one person. That's myself.
That's yourself.
My own thoughts, the space between my ears, because that's my number one foe. It's my mind. My mind is the one that wants me to take the easy route. My mind is the one that wants me to give myself an excuse.
Oh, man.
That's the battle.
Oh man, talk about that battle just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
just give us some Jews on that battle.
So we talk about sales and what does it take to be successful in sales. We talk about the mentality. We talk about the sales skills. We talk about how you get there. Behind all of that is who you are as a person.
Who you are as a person.
You know, are you going to get up out of bed and show up? Before I got to pharmaceutical sales, I had to get up and show up. Whether I was trying out for the Buffalo Bills, whether I was over in Europe, and we playing for Berlin Thunder, and we land April 29th after a 9-hour flight, and we have to go to practice. And I get out there, and I'm tired, I'm surprised, and then it starts snowing. I got snowflakes this big, and I'm just like, how the hell am I here? What am I doing?
They getting ready, getting you ready for Buffalo.
Right. Yeah, exactly, bro. So it's all those experiences. But the one thing that traveled with me, whether it was a hospitality manager, football player, a husband, the one thing that always is with you is your brain, your mind, your thoughts.
Right.
And it's the only thing you have control over. I don't have control over the snow. I don't have control over reimbursement in the hospital. I don't have control over anything. So the battle is won here. And when you control this guy, then game on, game over. You own it. So no matter where you find yourself, whether it's COVID and you get laid off.
Well, I get what you're saying, that for you the reward, and I'm so glad that you separated that. Yes, the money is great.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted.
Many ways to make money.
There's many ways to make money, but you said I love the autonomy of my job. In addition to the competitive nature of, yes, your job that pharmaceutical company probably gave you a goal.
That's right.
But you really didn't have to give it to me because in my mind, I was going to exceed this anyway. I got a 20-year history that I always do better than this because I'm looking to be the best on what you give me.
That's right.
I got it, and that's the rate of
return.
return.
Be my best, and I know that I perform at a high level. So I'm not focused on what you want me to do. I'm really focused on being my best because if I am my best,
I like the way you said that.
That's done.
I like the way you said that.
I mean, but most people don't understand that
because sometimes we do get caught up or trying to meet others' expectations,
That's right.
And you got to set a high ass expectation for yourself. And normally, if that high expectation for yourself is normally going to satisfy the expectations set before you.
They don't know you. They don't even know who you are, what you're capable of. Most people are undervalued and underestimated. And so if you always set your bar based on someone else's perception of you, you're always going to be underachieving, period. Always. And then you're never going to have any satisfaction. And you're not going to even understand why. But if you go inside and know who you are, and you try to be your best version of you, there's nothing you can't accomplish, and there's no such thing as anxiety and stress, because by the time they say, hey, Willie, here's your quota, whatever, I was thinking it was going to be 2 times higher than that.
I got it.
So thank you for the...
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Done. I mean, that's real. Whether you work in operations or sales, if you're going to work... And you're going to be the baddest administrator in your building. You're going to be the baddest accountant. You're going to be the baddest lawyer. If you're the doctor, you're going to do surgery. You're going to do a great job for your patients. I mean, it's the same thing. Most people run away from sales or any other career. It's like... Oh, yeah,
because it's tough.
That's right.
It's tough. That's
right.
why I run away. It's tough. Entrepreneur is tough.
Yes.
You know, when they say 90% of the world, 1% of the... They always... How they do the tax code? They say, do you want to do your taxes like 1% of the top? And it's like, do you know how hard it is to be at that 1% of the top?
That's right. That's right.
Why does that fucking percentage never change?
That's right. Exactly. Because
why does that percentage never change?
Because people are looking in the wrong place to get there.
Right. The wrong place to get there. Now, I know you say that selling the pharmaceutical drugs to help patients, if you had to do it all over again, coming from a secondary choice within the field, what route you think you may have tried? You think you might have tried the medical equipment, or?
I have no preference. All I want is product, service, therapy that can help the patient. I don't really care what it is.
I got it.
I have literally no preference.
Have you worked a lot of different ones?
I've worked in so many. I've been a district manager. I've been a director of sales. Been a rep. I've sold in wound care space. surgery with orthopedic surgeons, antibiotics. I mean, I've done it all basically in my 20-year career.
Right.
Because when I was a rep with J&J, we were territory reps and we carried 3 products, and it covered so many disease states. I had an anti-infective, overactive bladder medication, which targeted a lot of geriatrics, and then I had a overactive bladder. So I had and the pain medication, which is a tramadol and acetaminophen, was an oral medication that patients would take for osteoarthritis pain or different types of acute pain. Then I started selling in the neurological space, where I carried triptan for migraine abortion. So for acute migraines episode, you take it and it gets rid of it. And then we had a Topamax, which is an anti-epileptic drug that would be used every day as a preventative medication.
You know, you're the sales, but when they have the actual pharmacist, you ever thought about being a pharmacist?
No, because that would bore me to death.
Too redundant.
I'm not interested at all. So
yeah.
I don't do anything because it's cool or it sounds cool.
Right.
Like being a doctor, I would never want to be a doctor.
Correct.
Even the ones who make 500, 600, 800, $1 million, I would hate that life.
Yeah,
I
I went to the dentist the other day, and it's crowded.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I could just look in people's mouth.
No. Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
Nursing. Yeah. I'm kind of built that way. Though the money is there. So you have different ways you can sell the products. Let's go back to the different career. If you decide, hey, I heard you say you used to be a district manager. So what are some career paths within you can take out? Once you become a great sales,
Absolutely.
What can it lead to within the industry?
Yeah, so you can sell in different therapeutic areas, like devices, drugs, or services.
Well, outside
and
of
then
sales,
as different positions.
Yeah, the
you can
different
promote.
positions, yes.
You have marketing if you want to
Okay.
go in and create the sales pieces, create the messaging around service. You can do that. You can go into sales training. Where you train people rather than interact with the clients. You can become a reimbursement specialist where you learn about all the different managed care plans, and you go in and you try to get the product on their formulary at that level.
Okay, when you say the plans, that's like when Medicare season come up.
That's right.
And you have the United
Your
Healthcare, the Blue Cross,
plan,
those formularies.
They have tiers, so you can get your branded drug.
What's the name of that title again?
It's reimbursement.
Reimbursement.
That's right. Director of reimbursement or reimbursement specialist, different things like that.
Yeah. As you're describing these different ones, I think you chose the right part to stay in.
Well, I mean, it's not. I've done a sales manager.
It's not that you can't do it. It's just that
I've done sales training.
Your personality, I think you're in the right position.
Well, I can do it all.
Yeah.
I can do it all. I chose to be a rep for personal reasons.
Right. By the autonomy, that's what I like.
I won't go into it.
Right.
But I mean, I think being a manager and leading through others is really a good opportunity to give other people chances. So I think if you aspire to be a sales manager, that's always great. We always need good sales leaders.
Good sales leaders, yes.
And that's a leadership position. It's like a lot of people like the title and they want to.
Well, you know, it's like some professional athletes say, "Why wouldn't you coach?"
Yeah.
And when I hear you say, "Hey, your mind," I can see that. Hey, if you see a person that's
right.
not performing your expectations, you're gonna be like, "Hey, you gotta go.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this." If you don't believe in yourself, I can see that.
Yeah.
So that's why when you said the autonomy of it and seeing your competitiveness that you had within, that you know, it's like there's no excuses with Willie.
Yeah.
So if I'm a new sales rep coming with you,
I have my team. Yeah.
It's like, hey, be ready,
That's
guy.
right.
I'm ready to fly,
Yeah.
and I need you to hear. You need to read this book. You need to go. I need you to change. We need
Yes.
to be we need to be accurate when we go out. We need to be on point, precise, and we need to show that confidence, and we need to know our shit.
Yes, that's absolutely. And I've served that role, and I may serve it again.
Again, yes.
I may serve it again because I love coaching and developing and leading people, but I like to lead.
But you know, coaching is hard.
I've done it.
Coaching is hard. Managing people is hard. Those are two. But teaching is hard.
Selling is hard.
Leading is hard, and selling
life is hard. But I don't worry about that.
Right.
My main focus is what do I want to do? Because everything path you take can be a challenge. You can always have a challenge. Life is challenging, but once you decide what's worth your time and your effort, that's where you go.
With the relationships within the field, with the doctors, so to say. And you've built 20-year experience, so you may have worked for 2 or 3 different pharmaceuticals. How are doctors, man?
They're like us.
They're like us.
They're no different. They're just
they're
like
easy
us.
to keep a relationship. They just like.
I mean, it depends on the doctor. It's going to be some of them are going to be arrogant, and others are going to be humble and approachable. It's just they're just like everyone else.
How you rank them?
How do I rank them when you say that?
When I say rank them, there's more arrogance. Or there's more humble, or there's this.
So if you ask different, I think I'm not a good person to ask that because I don't really pay attention. But I know people are people.
Got it.
And I never take it personal. So I really don't know. What I am looking for is your personality style, and I find it to be very diverse. There's a personality as part of your sales skills. You learn about a personality profile, and they call it DISC. And you got some people are dominant, and some people are more introverted. Some are socially. It's different personality types that you look for.
Right.
Conscientious, science based. And so as I'm dealing with you, I'm really listening to what you're saying, and I want to know what's important to you. And so if the data is important, that's what I want to share with you. If safety, as far as how much it costs your client, your patient, that's where I'm gonna go. So I think that they're just like us. You're gonna meet some that are very humble and approachable, and then other ones are gonna be complete jerks and not approachable.
Right.
It has nothing to do with being a doctor. Some people would disagree with me.
We have to remember that acronym you just used, that DIS acronym.
Yeah.
That's something that could be used regardless of ourselves.
Yeah, you can find it online.
It's just learning how to read that person.
Yes.
Okay, so last question I got for you. Is it time with being a rep, I'm thinking that, wow, your day must be fanatic. Who controls the balance? Is that another mind thing, or that's something that you're balanced with family, your personal? Because most sales rep, when you're making 250, 300,000, 400, it takes a lot of fucking hours in a day.
Yeah.
So this leave us with balance. Like, what's your intake with balance?
My intake is in life you have to prioritize, and what's more important to you. I will never forget when I was a young rep with Johnson & Johnson, and we had a regional business director, and at our meetings he would get in front of us, and he would, every time you get up there, he would start off with what was important to him. He would say God's number one, and
yes,
and then he would say his family was
two,
and then he said his job was 2B. And everybody thought that was, they were like, whoa. And he said because his job is how he's able to provide for his family. So it's going to take a lot out of you. And so you have to be healthy in order to be wealthy. So that when you're healthy, you're going to have enough health and energy so that I can get up, I can get my kids off to school, take them to school, go to work,
great answer,
come back.
Great answer.
So
healthy.
There is no balance in life. There's no such thing.
Right.
If you're really going after it and living it all the way to the fullest.
You're
not going to have balance. So you have to
prioritize with your health.
And what you're going to put your time, invest your time into, and what you're not.
Right.
And so your kids, there are going to be periods where you're not going to be able to give all the time to your kid. You might have to get that business up and running. You might have to get your job task caught up, and then you can go back to your family. But you can't do that if you don't have energy If you don't feel good, it's going to make
Great
everything
answer,
tougher.
man.
So
Great
you
answer.
gotta take care of your health first. Spend as much time
Take
as you
care of
need.
that. Take care of that
That's
first, and everything else will
fall
balance
right
itself
behind
out.
that, 'cause
Fall
you'll be
right
in a good
behind it.
mood. And I learned from college when I had Ainsley Carey, Dr. Ainsley Carey. He's
Is he still there?
and he's at Vancouver, British Columbia
okay.
College. He's an administrator out there, and I talked to him. He was one of my main mentors, and he took me under his wing when I was in college, and we literally broke down my day to see how much time I had. And out of all the things I was doing, I still had hours left in my day.
Right.
So
Kind
get
of
up,
like,
wake up.
tracking your expenses.
Yes, wake up early. Get up early. Everybody, get up early. If other people get up at 8, get up at 6.
Right.
Give yourself those 2 hours to
Right.
get things done, and go to bed at a decent time for yourself. You don't have to go to bed super early. I don't go to bed early. I go to bed at 9, 10 o'clock on average. But make sure there is no balance. There's going to be effort. There's going to be prioritizing, and the order is going to vary different on depending on
per
different
individual.
seasons.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the individual and seasons. Like Christmas, I get to start tamping down on work. Those last 2 weeks of December, spending more time with my family, vacationing. But at the beginning of the year, when meetings are happening, setting off the strategy for the beginning of the year, I'm going to be on the road a little bit more.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you got to have energy, and talk about those coaches we were around, Spurrier and Urban, those guys working around the clock.
Well, you look healthy over there, man.
That's right.
I remember you playing football. Like I said earlier, you was at 260, 270,
yes.
and you look like a 210ish, and I'm like, I'm a 210ish, but it ain't a healthy one. I'm carrying one.
Well, I mean, it's important. It's important because I'm going to hit all my boxes, and you can do it. But I like to feel amazing. I want to have the energy and the pop. And that helps with a salesperson when you're dealing with different personalities, and when you're more focused internally. You don't get moved by what's happening outside so much.
Hey man, well, I appreciate that. I want you to leave us since we left off health.
Yes,
and that's amazing because we started talking about the career of pharmaceutical, and you bring it back to health. It was a subliminal way to say, if you don't want me to sell your drugs, take responsibility of your health.
That's right.
If you don't like the situation, other than
Absolutely.
that, there's a need for what you do.
That's right.
Off topic now. Could you just leave us of an hour workout plan, being that you used to be a football player and look like you still really the health? Break us down an hour plan to use 3 days a week to be healthy.
A plan? Oh my God!
How much cardio? Give us us
So I
something
think
before we go.
here's what something I always think about this, and I train for me individually. It wouldn't work for everyone because I overtrain based on my body, what it's used to, and I won't eat. But here's the deal: split your training into muscle building and conditioning. So some people say I'm bulking, other people say I'm running, some people say I want to be cut, some people say I want to have muscles. You want to be well-rounded.
Well-rounded.
So you look at athletes, they can run, they can jump, and they look like they can, right? And the way athletes train is you have conditioning days and you have strength days. So you have a muscle building day. Instead of a muscle building month and you eat pizza and just lift weights and you look big, how about you have a muscle building day and a conditioning day and stay healthy year round? Eat well, decently. So 2 or 3 days a week muscles, 2 or 3 days a week conditioning.
Conditioning,
cardio,
stretching.
Or walk or do stairs.
Right.
And I think a 30-minute, starting out, you may do 15, 20 minutes of cardio, but the goal is to get to where you can do an hour of cardio on your sessions, because 20, 30 minutes is good. 20 minutes is where your body get real warm, and it starts to burn fat and start to go through your energy stores. And when you get into that hour, it starts to build resilience. Your ligaments and tendons and get used to being on its feet and using it over and repetitively. And then lifting weights, when you're building strength, the way you build strength is by tearing down the tissue. So you tear down that tissue. Make sure you do it in a way where you're using good form and you're not cheating, so that you can hit more muscles and have better balance. And then after that, you always got to eat good. So you work out muscles 2 or 3 times a week. You run 2 or 3 times a week, or conditioning, whatever that looks like. But then you got to eat well all the time.
Every
day.
That's coming from Healthy Rodgers.
Every day.
Every time I see you out somewhere eating.
Yes, every day.
I've never caught him out of pocket and know that's not healthy.
You want to eat great every day. You can have a cheat meal, but never a cheat day.
Every time I see you out and about, it's going to be somewhere where it's healthy.
You can have a cheat
and I'd be like, should I stop and say, Willie? I'd be like, man, I don't want that crap. I want this pizza now.
But you can. The way I eat tastes amazing. It takes time to get good food that tastes better than the cheap food, and then you can cheat meals.
Right.
I don't say cheat one day. None of that. You don't need. Go be organic and make it a lifestyle.
Make it a lifestyle.
Yes. Net positive. Profit margins.
But man, I appreciate your time.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming and sharing some golden nuggets. And on behalf of Common Hood and my partner Nehemiah Harmon, that's in the background always making this thing work. OG trying to connect with the youth.
Yes.
And it's nice to have youth to be smarter than you.
I'm telling you, I love you.
Oh, is that bad?
I know. I'm always trying to pass the baton.
I met Nehemiah
yes.
Oh man, this is gonna be great with him. Come on over, man. We can do something.
Yeah.
But he with Dynasty Solutions, man. If y'all ever need some work on your podcast, some cameras, some editing, hit my boy Nehemiah Harmon out. He gonna go ahead and throw you a line for you to send a shout out to him if you need him. And once again, I thank you so much, Willie, for spending the time with Common Hood. Until we can meet each other again and spend another moment, we're out.
All right.
Want to elevate your brand with professional audio and video? At the Gainesville Podcast Studio, we make podcasting easy. Our fully equipped studio and expert engineers handle everything from recording to editing to upload. It is a complete done-for-you podcasting solution. Book your session today and let your voice be heard. Visit GainesvillePodcastStudio.com today to book your session.